वही सब पढ़ना।
हाँ
हाँ हाँ
स्वस्य प्रहा कामरूपिणी, बिल्कुल एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली, यू आर राइट, यू आर राइट।
कहाँ कहाँ कौन सी जगह?
ये वाला
1 2 3 4 फिफ्थ लाइन, फिफ्थ लाइन में, फिफ्थ लाइन
हाँ हाँ ओके,
फिफ्थ लाइन।
सस्कारा, ओके
पेता
ओके, कामरूपिणी, ओके ओके,
स्वस्य स्वस्य प्रहा,
हाँ हाँ
स्वस्य
हाँ,
प्रहा कामरूपिणी।
ठीक है, एक मिनट जरा,
बस यही है।
हाँ एक मिनट, how do we make this full screen? Okay, I think okay, Shekhar ji, we can start.
राजदान जी पढ़ेंगे।
हाँ
हाँ बिल्कुल।
मेरी मारा तो, यस यस यस।
स्वस्य प्रहा कामरूपिणी, अष्ट सद्य प्रदा प्रौढ़ा, दुष्ट दानव गातिनी, अनादि निदाना पुष्टि, चतुर्बाहुर चतुर्मुखी, चतुसमुद्र शयाना, चतुर्वर्ग फल प्रदा, काश पुष्प प्रतिकाशा, शरद कुमुदलोचना, भूत भव्य भविष्याच, शैलजा शैलवासिनी। दैट्स एंड ऑफ द पेज तक पढ़ा मैंने।
हाँ ठीक है।
So the today's nama is first nama is Susprha.
सुस्पृहा।
Sprha means that which someone is very fond of, that which is desired to be enjoyed.
सुस का मतलब?
स्पृह का,
अच्छा प्रिय का, अच्छा
स्पृह का,
ठीक
जो मैं अपने लिए चाहता हूं,
ठीक।
something that I want to own, something that I want to enjoy. Ownership is automatically linked with enjoyment.
राइट राइट।
Susprha,
सुस्पृहा,
one who is the most desired object. We will have to see this nama with the upcoming nama, which is Kamarupini.
कामरूपिणी।
Kamarupini also means one who can assume multiple forms in one sense. But the most appropriate way of looking at that nama will be to interpret the word kama in the sense of that which is kamaniya, that which is desired.
डिजायर।
It is using this interpretation we give the explanation for the name Kamakshi. Kamaniye Akshini, one who has the eyes which are most desirable, in the sense one who fulfills all the desires just by her mere
ग्लांस।
They give the example of a fish. The mother fish, after laying the eggs, unlike the other territorial animals and birds, would not have the luxury of incubating by sitting on it and providing the warmth because it's in water. So the Shastras give an example of the fish who would just be looking at the eggs, and it is through that drishti which nourishes the eggs and takes care of the eggs till they hatch. So it is this aspect of Devi as the protector, Devi as the ultimate protector. That's what exactly who a mother is. Mother is one who will put the security or the comforts of the children over and above everything that she holds dear to herself. So is the Divine Mother, who nourishes. And for that, she does not require any other external objects. In the Laukika sense, the mother may require, say for example, if the child is hungry, milk to feed, or any other such external elements to satisfy the wishes of the children. Here, mother is not dependent on anything external. She is quite capable of taking care of the entire requirements of her creation. So she goes by the name Kamakshi. Same interpretation is given for the name of another name of Devi by name Meenakshi also. One is fish-like eyes, the other is why fish-like. It could be any other thing. Then this particular explanation is offered there also. So when we look at these two namas, Susprha and Kamarupini, Susprha means that which everyone wishes to enjoy. These two are coming from two levels of Bhoga and Ananda. Bhoga is at the Pashu level. When, let's say, we enjoy listening to good music or good food and etc., the enjoyment that we derive out of it, that experience of enjoyment which we associate with the external objects, even though it is a kind of a misjudgment on our part to attribute the enjoyment as dependent on the external objects. Still, because of our Pashu Dasha, we are dependent on it, right? Even though we have got all this intellectual understanding, yet we want to taste a good food to enjoy the good food, relish. We want to listen to a music in order to relish the musical ecstasy. So we are still dependent on the external objects, but like in Vijnana Bhairava and other places, the Shastra teaches us to indulge in these bhogas. At the time of indulgence or in these particular bhogas, it asks us to be aware of the process of the relishment, process of the bhoga, the enjoyment. And it says that we have to closely watch where is the enjoyment coming. This Acharya Kshemaraja in Pratyabhijna Hridaya, he explains the Panchakrityas of a Pashu. Just like the Panchakrityas of the Shiva, the Panchakrityas are performed by the Pashu also, because at Pashu level also he is Shiva only. At the Shiva Avastha, he is doing the Panchakrityas at a much higher cosmic plane. In the Pashu level, we are also doing the fivefold actions.
At your limited level.
Samhara, Bhasa, and Anakya. We are doing these five, but at the cognitive level, during every cognition. So, the shlokas of Vijnana Bhairava, no, the Jagdipana, Kritasnana and all those shlokas, when they ask us to indulge in the bhoga and watch the process of the bhoga, slowly it teaches us that we will be able to understand that the bhoga is starting, reaches a peak, and then dissolves in our understanding or in our awareness only. This bhoga is not from the external object. So this is one of the upayas laid down. So when there is an dependency on the external objects for a Pashu, there also the enjoyment is the quality or not quality, sorry, the attribute of awareness or consciousness only. So in that level, when we understand that awareness as the source of all pleasures, the source of all delights, she is Susprha. Whereas from the highest, from the Shiva Dasya, there are only two dashas. You are either a Pashu or you are a Shiva. Anything in between will fall only under the Pashu category. So there may be hundreds of categories of categorization of Pashu. But from the point of view of contraction or Sankocha, there can only be Shiva and Pashu. So from the Shiva Avastha, when we look, she is Kama Rupini, because the word Kama is the highest desire of Shiva or of consciousness itself, which is generated through the Ichha. Creates that Kama. Anyway, Shiva is bliss, Ananda, because these two things are never hidden. The Ananda and the Chit aspect. The Ichha Jnana Kriya, they get contracted. The Ananda and the Chit, these two cannot be contracted. It is because of the contraction of the other three, these are felt in a very marginal way by us. So, having the sevenfold Ananda scheme in the Tantra Loka is only that. But it is not contraction of Ananda per se. How much can I take the Ananda? That is the difference. All right. So, Kama Rupini is from the Shivavastha. When we look, she is that supreme free will of Shiva, which is connected with the Ananda aspect of Shiva. Therefore, there is no experience which is not bereft of the Ananda. Therefore, she is Kama Rupini. So that is why these two namas have been put one next to the other. Otherwise, Kama Rupini, from a very Laukika point of view, means one who can assume forms at their free will. Because this word is used even in common parlance in reference to the Indrajala, magic. Okay, so people assuming different forms. For example, Ravana trying to abduct Sita ji by assuming the guise of a mendicant. So there, it is the Kama Rupata, the power to possess multiple forms. So Devi is called as Kama Rupini. Obviously, she can assume any form at her will. But this is from a very Laukika point of view. The next nama is
Ashtasiddhi.
Siddhi Prada.
Yeah, so we had already seen the Ashtasiddhis in the previous nama, Animadi Gunopeda. So, one who bestows these Ashtasiddhi, the 8 Siddhi, namely the Anima, Lagima, Prapti, Prakamya, Mahima, Ishitva, and Vashitva. These are the 8 Siddhis. So she would bestow these 8 Siddhis, and like we had seen earlier, these Siddhis are always considered as a hindrance for a sadhaka.
Exactly.
Because they are the trap into which many fall. So she is the one who has to be surrendered to so that we don't fall into the trap. If we start thinking the reason why people fall is they assume that they have or they have these powers because they are eligible or they are entitled to these powers. So it pops up their ahankara. A complete surrender to Devi or to one's Guru, one would be free from this ahankara. Therefore, these siddhis, even though they are there, they would not become there a kind of a hindrance for the sadhana. So she is the one who bestows these.
Then what is the use of attaining these siddhis?
Mara, the spiritual sadhana, I keep saying this, not everyone wants moksha.
Achha.
Right now. They will. But right now, if someone is looking at more Laukika Prayojana, the Shastra cannot deny him the means to achieve that. So we don't have, at least in Kashmir Shaivism or in the Tantragama philosophy, we don't have the text stereotyping everyone in the same bucket.
No, it can-
It classifies people under different the categories based on their temperaments. For each, it is there, including the so-called sorcery and black magic and all those things are also there in the Shastra.
Yes,
How
yes.
can we say no? It is there. But what a person wants is completely his decision to make. The Shastra is not dictating any person to take or follow any particular path. It is only prescribing. Sorry, it is only describing. And
Not prescribed.
a person who makes the selection, then it starts giving the prescription of the ways to or the sadhanas to be adopted in order to reach his so-called goal, whatever that he has chosen.
But if one attains these 8 siddhis, does it help his yoga? Does it help him in his spirituality?
It does not help from the mokshopaya point of view. From the mokshopaya point of view, once again, they are more a kind of supernatural powers only.
They are supernatural
So,
powers. Yes,
it is,
yes.
but a person who has got a perfect control over his ahankara, he now knows that he can progress up and above these in the path of the yoga. And it is not only for the yogins, though it is described under the Yoga Sutra that the Ashta Siddhis will be bestowed, but even for a person who has not followed the Yoga Marga as laid down, even he can get these Ashta Siddhis. But what he would do with it is entirely up to him. Many of the acharyas possess but never display.
Yes, exactly.
That means it is a trap.
Yes. So they have won over the trap. They've gone
Then
past.
those who are able to win over it, then it's a blessing for them.
Correct.
Yes.
But Shekharji, one question: why is this Ashtasiddhi coming repeated here? Then earlier also we have seen it, right?
Correct. Okay. Earlier Nama Animadi Guna Upeta is referring to Devi as the source of all these siddhis. In this particular Nama, Ashta Siddhi Prada, she is the bestower of these siddhis upon the sadhakas. So there is a subtle difference between the two. From the siddhis description point of view, there is no not much. But
when
there,
she's Prada, then it becomes.
Yeah. So I think I remember when we were doing that particular Nama, I spelled out a shloka which is normally used as the Dhyana shloka of Sri Lalita Tripura Sundari, wherein these devatas are seen as the rays emanating out of Devi's body. Animadhivi avrutam mayukhaihi aham ityeva vibhavaye bhavani. That is the stotra. So these Animadi devatas are like the mayukha, are like the rays which are emanating from her. And who is she? She is aham. That supreme I consciousness is the swarupa of Devi. So aham ityeva vibhavaye bhavani. So Ashta Siddhi, same. Prada, who bestows it on the sadhakas. Okay. Whatever path they follow, not necessarily just the yoga. For the yogins, yes. For the others too, it is on her. It is contingent upon her to bestow it upon the sadhaka.
Right, sir.
Prouda.
Prouda.
Proud.
Prouda.
Prouda.
Praudha means mature. This Sanskrit pada normally is used in the sense of the sign of maturity. It has multiple applications. For example, if it is referring to a way of writing, then Praudha means a very mature text. Mature in the sense an advanced text. There is a book by name Praudha Manorama. It's a book on Sanskrit Vyakarana. It is an advanced text. To show that it is an advanced treatise, Praudha is used there. In another place or context where the word Praudha is used is in the Kavya, wherein, or rather, we call it as an Alankara Shastra. Okay. The classification of the Nayikas or the heroine. It gives there are multiple ways. That one of the ways of classifying is Mugdha, Madhya, Praudha. Mugdha is probably a very, very young girl who has just reached her puberty. So, and it describes all her physical attributes as well as her mental attributes. That is Mugdha. Madhya is mid-age. Praudha is the advanced, okay, in age. So that is another
There's a shloka
context in
also.
which
There's a shloka also. Prata kale kumari kumudi kalikaya japyamalam japanti madhyane praudaropa vikasita vadana char netra vishala. About Devi. This is a shloka of Devi.
So it is using those threefold classification of the Kavya while describing the Devi Swarup. But here, when we call Devi as Praudha, what is Shiva intending to convey? To understand this, we have to go to Yoga Vasishta. In Yoga Vasishta, there is a description about sage Kakabhushundi. Now, sage Kakabhushundi is a very, very interesting, I should not say character and all, but for sake of expression, let me use that term. The Tulasi Ramayana starts with a kind of a conversation or describes a conversation with the Kakabhushundi. Kakabhushundi is a Siddha who lived multiple yugas. So he has seen multiple cycles of creation and destruction. So every time there would be a destruction, he would assume the form of a crow. And he would not be the part of that cycle of destruction. So he survived. So Kakabhushundi is... so while describing Kakabhushundi, in the Mokshopaya, Tika uses the word Praudha Manasaha. Because he is indestructible in the cycles of creation and destruction. So someone who has not or who has not undergone any change, or someone who has been fixed or constant in the cycles of creation and destruction. So this is the taking this clue from the Mokshopaya. When we approach this Nama of Devi as Praudha, we understand that Devi is that permanent entity which does not participate in creation and destruction, or who does not undergo the changes of creation and destruction. Because all these changes are at the level of Prakriti onwards only in the Tattvas. Not in, because she has to be immutable. She is unchanged. Therefore, she is Praudha.
Praudha.
So that is the meaning of the word Praudha here. So one who does not undergo any change in the multiple cycles of creation and destruction. So that is Praudha.
Praudha.
Next nama is
Dushta Danav Gatini.
Ghatini. Dushta Danava Ghatini. Ghatini, one who destroys. Dushta Danava. Very simple names because it is there in our day-to-day conversation. Here the word Danava is very interesting. Because normally what happens is, when we read our scriptures and our texts through some other language, the subtleties are lost in the translation. For example, if the term Rakshasa comes, it will be translated as a demon or a titan. Daitya comes, it will also be translated as either of the two. Danava, same. Raksha, same. Nishachara, same. Pishacha, same. But then why does our text have so many words? Like I said, the subtlety is being lost in translation. Danavas, Daityas, Rakshasas, they are different clans. They are not the same. And the worst thing that happened to us was in the form of mass media, wherein certain stereotypes have been produced. If it is a demon, the demon is depicted, or a Rakshasa is depicted across movies, across TV serials and all those things in a very, very stereotyped manner. No one goes into the kind of required research to see what does the Shastra say about what their characteristics, both physical characteristics, what is their nature and all this. So Danava, they are the sons of Kashyapa Prajapati and his wife by name Danu. They were Danavas. In the Pancharatragama text, we come across the reference to the various lokas below the Prithvi. See, there are 7 lokas above Prithvi. There are 7 lokas or 6 lokas, 6 lokas above Prithvi and 7 lokas below Prithvi. So above and below does not mean a spatial understanding. Okay, it only means the inhabitants of these worlds, the abilities that they possess. So categorizing those abilities, we call them as above and below. So one should not start searching for them below the earth. So the words below, such as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, and Patala, one of these are inhabited by the Danavas. The Pancharatra says, these Danavas were very, very fond of a pleasured life, happy life. They only desired pleasures of the Pancha Indriyas. Okay. So this is one description about the Danava. So the characteristic of a Danava we get is the person who relishes in physical enjoyment. One who puts the physical enjoyment as the supreme form of pleasure. So now, when we look at this Nama, Dushta Danava Ghatini, we will know that Devi is the destroyer of the tendency to seek the pleasure in the body or through the body. Why is it called as Dushta? Because it is taking us away from our core. It is taking us away from our natural or our source by driving us further and further towards the external spheres. Now here again, we should always keep this cardinal principle in mind. Our tantras and the agamas are not against bhoga. They are only cautioning us about our attitude towards bhoga. You can and you should indulge in bhoga, but what should be your attention focused at during the enjoyment? That makes a huge difference between a pashu enjoying and a yogi or a jnani enjoying. I don't know if many of you have read the story of Matsyendranatha, Machandar, who was the guru of Sri Gorakshanatha.
Yeah.
The Matsyendranatha is no ordinary siddha. For that matter, in our Tantra Sampradaya, Matsyendranatha is considered to be the promulgator of the entire Kaula system during this age. It is through Acharya Matsyendranatha that the entire Kaula doctrine came. And he is considered to be a very, very revered figure in the Guru Parampara of the Tantras and the Agamas. And the Navanatha Siddha tradition. Okay. It's a different yogic tradition altogether, very different from the Patanjala Yoga tradition. It is in this, because it is derived from the Tantra Agamas, that you will come across the references to the Shat Chakras and others. The Shat Chakra reference is not there in the Patanjali Yoga. Today, unfortunately, there is a complete concoction of ideas. People who go and listen to the yoga classes and all, many of them are not informed about these nuances. Whether it is only Shat Chakras or whether they are both. Because Goraksha Samhita lists many more chakras. Doesn't stop with 6. Okay, I will come to the point. In the story of Matsyendranatha, Matsyendranatha goes to the kingdom. Okay, he marries a woman and all those things. And then Goraksha comes in search of his master. That story only highlights the difference of bhoga between an siddha or a yogi and a jnani and the bhoga of a regular pashu. So a jnani enjoys it knowing, fully aware that the source of the pleasure is only his core. Whereas a pashu thinks and therefore seeks constantly pleasure in objects which are external to him. When we speak of external to him, including the emotions, because emotions also become external. Even though from the body point of view, we may try to locate the mind inside the body and all those things. That is also something that I have not been still been able to comprehend. This is once again because of the misunderstanding of the Panchakosha concept. The Upanishad speaks about the Panchakosha, Annamaya, okay, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya.
Anandamaya.
And the moment somebody wants to do it, a pictorial diagram is, he'll put the Annamaya, the external most circle, and he puts all the concentric circles and puts the Anandamaya inside. As if Anandamaya is restricted only to that particular space and has nothing to do with the Annamaya Kosha. It's a completely ridiculous representation of this concept. Because Ananda is something that we seek in all levels. I will seek an Ananda at the Annamaya level. I will seek Ananda at the Pranamaya level. I seek Ananda at the Manomaya level. I seek Ananda at the Vijnanamaya level. Don't we do? In all our experience, you can classify your pleasures into these 4 categories, right? Like pleasure for your body, the pleasure for your mind, the pleasure for your intellect. The moment you crack something which is so hard, the moment we have discovered or deciphered one new symbol in a manuscript, the high that we get, an Ananda in the Vijnanamaya. So Anandamaya is not restricted. Anandamaya is actually pervasive. Okay, coming back, our Tantragamas have a very different and a very much better model to represent. So all these are represented in the Natha tradition or the Natha Yoga tradition of Matsyendranath. So to conclude, so Dushta Danava Ghatini refers to Devi as one who destroys the tendency of the person to seek pleasures in body and outside. And they are classified as Dushta because they tend to lead us outer rather than propel us towards our source. So Dushta Danava Ghatini. Next nama is
Anadi Nidana
Nidana Pushti.
Should it be 2 namas? I think it should be 2 namas.
Anadi should be 1.
Anadi Nidana.
Anadi Nidana 1 name.
Anadi Nidana.
Pushti, but I forgot. Let me check. I think we saw the nama Pushti earlier also once.
You're right.
If that be the case, I think then the Pushti will come with this because repetitions are not allowed. Okay. Same nama should not be repeated twice.
Correct.
Anadi should be separate.
Anadi Nidana Pushtihi, or should it be Anadi Nidana, one nama, Pushtihi as another nama? Let me check if we have come across Pushti earlier. Anadi Nidana is, once again, Adi, beginning.
Anadi.
One who does not have a beginning. Anadi. As a logical consequence, that which does not have a beginning will not have an end. So Nidhana means end. So that which does not have an end, Anidhana. But while doing the samasa, compounding in Sanskrit, when we put these two together, one who does not have Adi and Nidhana is Anadi Nidhana. So Anadi Nidhana, one who has no beginning or end. Because the whole idea of beginning and the end drops in when the concept of Kala creeps into it. And we have seen the Tattva scheme. Kala comes during the Vidya Tattvas, that is during the Shatkanchuka stage. And an offshoot of Kala is Desha. So time and space, they always go together. Moment Kala comes in, the Desha will also come in there. So we speak of Adi and Anta or Adi and Nidhana only in the context of or only in the plane of time and space. Whereas Devi as Shakti is way above the Kala and the Desha aspect. The
Time
reason
and
why
space.
Kala and yes, ma'am.
Time and space.
Yes, time and space. Exactly. One naturally wonders why time and space have not been accommodated inside our 36 Tattva scheme. When we look into that list, Desha and Kala are not listed.
Not listed.
Not listed. The reason is very simple. Desha and Kala are not manifestations of reality. Tattvas
Correct.
are the manifestations of reality. Desha and Kala are not manifestations of reality. They are relative concepts which give a framework for the reality to express. The moment you say relative, it is not absolute.
Correct.
Therefore, it is not Tattva.
Not Tattva.
So, since Devi is way above Desha Kala, she is Anadi Nidana. Many verses speak about this, when it says Dikkala Dhyanavachinna Shuddha Chinmatra Murtaye. So Dikkala Anavachinna, someone who is not conditioned by the Dik and the Kala, by the space and by the time. So she is Anadi Nidhana. Pushti, if we add to this Nama, tells us why she is Anadi Nidhana. Someone who is complete. Someone who is complete by herself. Has no need for origin and therefore there is no end to it. Because the origin represents seeking. Origin represents seeking. And anything that is full is stable and does not participate in the process of change. So since she is Pushti, ever full, Purna. Pushti means Purna. She is ever full. She has no beginning and no end. That is why she is always represented by the Bindu. Because you cannot point out the start and the end in a circle. So she is Anadi Nidhana Pushti.
Pushtischa.
Next nama is
Chaturbahu. Chaturmukhi.
Chaturbahu.
Chaturbahu.
One who possesses 4 arms.
4 arms.
Chaturbahu. So we know as Bhavani, she possesses 4 arms, iconographically speaking. She possesses 4 arms and she holds the Pasha Ankusha, the Jnana Mudra, and the Pustaka in her hand. So this is the iconographic representation as per the Dhyana Shloka of the form of Bhavani. Even in her form as Lalita Tripura Sundari, she is 4-armed. There also it is Pasha Ankusha. Then the Panchabana, the 5 flowery arrows, and the Ikshukodanda, the sugarcane bow. In her other spectrum, as Dakshina Kali, she is again Chaturbahu, 4 arms. One Abhaya Hasta, one Varada Hasta, one Khatwanga, and one Munda. So she is Chaturbahu. So these Mahavidyas are they are portrayed as 4-armed figures for a reason. So when we speak of Devi as having 4 arms, it denotes the arms are representation of Kriya Shakti, ability to perform, ability to act. That's what arms represent.
Yeah.
Right? So when we speak of Chaturbahu, the ability to act depends upon our senses, because our sense will guide us to act, and the senses operate through the mind. So the mind is a second entity, and the mind is normally dictated by 2 emotions in a state of agitation: the anger and the lust or desire to possess something. So when we sit peacefully and think of our activities, we will understand that these 4 are involved in our activities. If not all the 4, 3 will definitely be involved in our activities. Indriyas, Manas and Raga. Indriya, Manas and Krodha. At times all the 4. That is why the Ayudas of the Devi also represent these 4 aspects. In Lalita Sahasranama, we have direct mapping. Raga Swarupa Pashatya, Krodhakara Ankusha Ujjvala, Manorupekshu Kodanda, Panchatanmatra Saya. So these are the 4-fold drivers for actions. So Devi with Chaturbahu represents these 4-fold aspects. All these were supposed to lead a devotee through a stages of inquiry, personal inquiry. You visit the temple once, twice, 10 times. The 11th time, we are expected to think about why is Devi appearing like this. Then either through the help of the Shastras or through the help of other learned members of the community, we come to know about it. That will slowly lead to vichar. So next, the 12th or the 13th time we go to the temple, we are looking at Devi from a slightly added vichara perspective. So this process goes on till we are able to have a kind of a transformative experience during our worship. This is what leads. So when we classify the puja or worship, many of the texts classify it as apara, parapara and parapuja. The term varivasya is also used for puja. So apara puja is when we just look at Devi as having the 4 arms. Parapara, I'm just using it very loosely here. Parapara is when we look at the Devi with the 4 arms, we start thinking about what those 4 arms represent. And all the churning that takes place within us every time we have that visualization. Parapuja is when we realize that the Devi is nothing but the pure consciousness or pure I principle in me. Aham itye vibhave. That is the Parapuja. One leads to the other. One has to go through this sequence to reach the Para. But the Parapuja is the highest aim for all the sadhakas or all the devotees. So to keep reinforcing these, the entire textual traditions and the practice were planned by our Purvacharyas. Okay, so she is Chaturbahu. So if Bahu is representing the power to act, the next Nama, which is Chaturmukhi,
Mukhi.
is representing the power to think or contemplate. So Chaturmukhi, having 4 faces, is the ability to think or ability to know from an all-round perspective. Right? Normally, when we see Brahma as Chaturmukha, having 4 faces. Each of the faces representing one Veda. Okay. So what? One is Rig, other is Yajur, other is Sama, other is Atharva. Okay. What is the implication? Vedas today, we call them by these names Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva. Because for the sake of convenience, Bhagavan Veda Vyasa edited and classified and put them together like this.
Right.
Otherwise, Vedas are one single comprehensive unit. So today we, from a very scholarly thing, when we start dating the Vedas and all, we are missing out one point that the Vedas represent one cohesive unit of knowledge. Yes, understood. The instantization takes place during different periods through different rishis. There is no denial to the roles played by the rishis in that. But the knowledge aspect as such is a holistic. It cannot be compartmentalized. So when we speak of Devi as Chaturmukhi, we are referring to the Mukha as knowledge and knowledge being holistic. Unfortunately, because of the influence of the Western knowledge systems, we have been trained to look at subjects from a very, very compartmentalized perspective.
Differentiated
Our
perspective.
earlier tradition never looked at it that way. For a person to come up with a painting, so if he was a painter by profession, his training included vast range of subjects starting from the Vidyasthana level of the Vedas and the Agamas, right down up to the chemical sciences, pure sciences. So this holistic vision is what has been lost to us in the current education system. So when we represent Devi as Chaturmukhi, the aspect of Jnana as being holistic. That is the idea which Shiva wants to convey. So she is Chaturmukhi. We'll continue with this. Yes.
Chatussamudra Shayana.
Chatussamudra Shayana. Okay. Chatussamudra Shayana, one who has the 4 oceans as her Shayana, as her bed. As her couch. Because normally in the Puranas, you will come across only Sapta Samudra. When you look into the Puranas, when you speak of Samudra, there are 7 Samudras, 7 oceans. Dadi, Kshira, Ikshu, Lavana, etc. So here the word Samudra is not at all referring to the ocean. It is referring to the 4 stages of awareness. Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti, Turi. Okay, then what about the 5th? No, which is the hallmark of Tantragama Sampradaya.
Turyatita.
Turyatita. That is Devi.
Yeah. Correct.
Chatus Samudra Shayana. So there is one 5th entity, right? So that is the Turiya. Because Turyatita and Turiya, the difference is only represent the experience at that instant, or the experience permeating all these stages.
Correct.
Triyatita is an experience permeating all these stages.
Para.
So she is the Chatussamudra Shayana, one who permeates all the states of awareness. Chatussamudra Shayana.
Chaturvarga Phala Prada.
Mahara will take this in the next.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, Mahara. Thank you. Thank you, Shekharji.
Namaskar ji.